6, 7, 8. We have a quorum. Good afternoon. The 18th meeting of the 73rd term of Baltimore City Council is now called to order. Members of the council, due to us being in this virtual environment, please note that I'll recognize you by saying your name. Once recognized, please again restate your name and begin to speak. Tonight's invocation will be delivered by Reverend Christopher Brown of Cannon. Is that the correct pronunciation, Reverend? We want to make sure we have respect for the church. Reverend Brown, can you hear us? He was on, and I think he might have had some issues with his video. Reverend Brown, we saw you on a second ago. There you go. Reverend Brown, can you hear me? Can you hear me, Reverend Brown? He's still having some technical problems. Reverend Brown, can you hear us? We can see you. Hey, Reverend Brown, can you hear us? Members of the council, to be fair to Reverend Brown, what we're going to do is we are going to just have a quick moment of silence, like we've done in the past, in lieu of an invocation. And then if Reverend Brown's able to come back on, we'll allow him to give us a formal invocation from there. Is that fair? We're good there? All right. All right, thank you, guys. Reverend Brown, you still unable to hear us? We can see you, but we cannot hear you. All right, we're going to move on. So at this point, if you have a flag on your computer or somewhere behind you, please recite the Pledge of Allegiance. The clerk will now call the roll.
President Mosby, Councilmember Cohen, McCray, Dorsey, Conway, Schleifer, Middleton, Torrance, Burnett, Bullock, Porter, Costello, Stokes, Glover, Ramos. Mr. President, we have a quorum.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Without objections, we will now proceed with the adoption of the journal.
Mr. President, the journal of the September 13th, 2021 proceedings are on the council member's desk.
Without objection of proceeding for the journal, we'll adopt it. Hearing and seeing none, the journal is now adopted. Communications from the mayor can be found on page 2 of the agenda. Before we get into tonight's agenda, I would like to acknowledge that we do have some colleagues and constituents that are preparing to celebrate a holiday, Sukkot. Please correct me if I'm wrong, Councilman Cohen. What's the pronunciation?
Yep, Sukkot.
I was pretty close. All right, Sukkot. This evening, we do have a full agenda, but I would ask members cooperation in trying to move things along expeditiously. I believe it's going to be sometime after 6:15. Is that about right? Is that a good time? Councilman, give or take? All right, got you. Got the thumbs up. We will now move to executive nominations. Clerk, please read the first nomination.
EA 21-0050, Mia J. Blom, Member Commission on Sustainability.
This nomination has been assigned to the Rules and Oversight Committee.
EA 21-0051, Donzel Brown Jr., Member Commission on Sustainability.
This nomination has been assigned to the Rules and Oversight Committee.
EA 21-0052, Regina T. Boyce, Member Commission on Sustainability.
This nomination has been assigned to the Rules and Oversight Committee.
A 21-0053, Lisa Ferretto, Member, Commission on Sustainability.
This nomination has been assigned to the Rules and Oversight Committee.
A 21-0054, William Bill Joyner, Member, Commission on Sustainability.
This nomination has been assigned to the Rules and Oversight Committee.
A 21-0055, Nicolette A. Lusant, Member, Commission on Sustainability.
This nomination has been assigned to the Rules and Oversight Committee.
A 21-0056, Inez Robb, Member, Commission on Sustainability.
This nomination has been assigned to the Rules and Oversight Committee.
A 21-0057, Bryant Smith, Member, Commission on Sustainability.
This nomination has been assigned to the Rules and Oversight Committee.
A 21-0058, Stephanie Smith, Member, Commission on Sustainability.
This nomination has been assigned to the Rules and Oversight Committee.
A 21-0059, Ben Zetchik, Member, Commission on Sustainability.
This nomination has been assigned to the Rules and Oversight Committee.
A 21-0068, Detonia Reed, Member, Civil Service Commission.
Last but not least, this nomination has been assigned to the Rules and Oversight Committee. Now we're going to move on to bills to be introduced for first reading. Madam Clerk, if you please read the first bill, 21-126.
City Council Bill 21-0126, Supplementary General Fund Operating Appropriation, Board of Elections, $600,000. For the purpose of providing a supplemental general fund operating appropriation in the amount of $600,000 to the Board of Elections, Service 899, Fair Conduct of Elections, to provide funding for additional printing and security expenditures resulting from the COVID-19 pandemic and providing for a special effective date. Sponsor is President Mosby on behalf of the administration.
This bill has been assigned to the Ways and Means Committee. On to 21-127, Madam Clerk.
City Council Bill 21-0127, Supplementary General Fund Operating Appropriation, Department of General Services, $600,000 for the purpose of providing a supplemental general fund operating appropriation in the amount of $600,000 to the Department of General Services, Service 731, Facilities Management, to provide funding for additional city building security costs resulting from the COVID-19 pandemic and providing for a special effective date. Sponsor is President Mosby on behalf of the administration.
This bill has been assigned to the Ways and Means Committee. On to 21-128, Madam Clerk.
City Council Bill 21-0128, Supplementary General Fund Operating Appropriation, Department of General Services, $12,383.02 for the purpose of providing a supplementary general fund operating appropriation in the amount of $12,383.02 to the Department of General Services, Service 731, Facilities Management, to provide funding for Community Action Program building improvement expenses resulting from the COVID-19 pandemic and providing for a special effective date. Sponsor is President Mosby on behalf of the administration.
This bill has been assigned to the Ways and Means Committee. On to 21-129, Madam Clerk.
City Council Bill 21-0129, Supplementary General Fund Operating Appropriation, Department of General Services, $3.1 million, for the purpose of providing a supplementary general fund operating appropriation in the amount of $3.1 million to the Department of General Services, Service 731, Facilities Management, to provide funding for food security program expenses resulting from the COVID-19 pandemic and providing for a special effective date. Sponsor is President Mosby on behalf of the administration.
This bill has been assigned to the Ways and Means Committee. On to 21-130, Madam Clerk.
Council Bill 21-0130, Supplementary General Fund Operating Appropriation, Department of Health, $8,833,951.06. For the purpose of providing a supplementary general fund operating appropriation in the amount of $8,933,000, $8,933,950. I'm not good with this number. $8,933,951.06. The Department of Health, Service 315, Emergency Services Health, to provide funding for pandemic response personnel, contact tracing, and testing expenses resulting from the COVID-19 pandemic and providing for a special effective date. Sponsor is President Mosby on behalf of the administration.
This bill has been assigned to the Ways and Means Committee. On to 21-131, Madam Clerk.
City Council Bill 21-0131, Supplementary General Fund Operating Appropriation, Department of Health, $22,620,168 for the purpose of providing a supplementary general fund operating appropriation in the amount of $22,620,168 to the Department of Health, Service 315, Emergency Services Health, to provide funding for older adult food insecurity programs, vaccine administration and personnel, and sheltering and quarantine expenses resulting from the COVID-19 pandemic, and providing for a special effective date. Sponsor is President Mosby on behalf of the administration.
This bill has been assigned to the Ways and Means Committee on to 21-132, Madam Clerk.
City Council Bill 21-0132, Supplementary General Fund Operating Appropriation, Department of Health, $15.2 million for the purpose of providing a supplementary general fund operating appropriation in the amount of $15.2 million to the Department of Health, Service 315, Emergency Services Health, to provide funding for hotel sheltering expenses resulting from the COVID-19 pandemic and providing for a special effective date. Sponsor is President Mosby on behalf of the administration.
This bill has been assigned to Ways and Means Committee on to 21-133, Madam Clerk.
City Council Bill 21-0133, Supplementary General Fund Operating Appropriation, Department of Housing and Community Development, $4.3 million for the purpose of providing a supplementary general fund operating appropriation in the amount of $4.3 million to the Department of Housing and Community Development, Service 809, Retention, Expansion, and Attraction of Businesses, to provide funding for direct business assistance, personal protective equipment grants, and design work expenses resulting from the COVID-19 pandemic, and providing for a special effective date. Sponsor is President Mosby on behalf of the administration.
This bill has been assigned to the Ways and Means Committee on to 21-134, Madam Clerk.
City Council Bill 21-0134, Supplementary General Fund Operating Appropriation, Department of Planning, $7.1 million. For the purpose of providing a supplementary general fund operating appropriation in the amount of $7.1 million to the Department of Planning, Service 765, Planning for Sustainable Baltimore, to provide funding for food security expenses resulting from the COVID-19 pandemic and providing for a special effective date. Sponsor is President Mosby on behalf of the administration.
This bill has been assigned to the Ways and Means Committee on to 21-135, Madam Clerk.
City Council Bill 21-0135, Supplementary General Fund Operating Appropriation, Department of Planning, $5,107,420 for the purpose of providing a supplementary general fund operating appropriation in the amount of $5,107,420 to the Department of Planning, Service 765, Planning for Sustainable Baltimore, to provide funding for food security program expenses resulting from the COVID-19 pandemic and providing for a special effective date. Sponsor is President Mosby on behalf of the administration.
This bill has been assigned to Ways and Means Committee on to 21-136, Madam Clerk.
21-0136, Supplementary General Fund Operating Appropriation, Department of Public Works, $600,000 for the purpose of providing a supplementary general fund operating appropriation in the amount of $600,000 to Department of Public Works, Service 663, Waste Removal and Recycling, to provide funding for overtime expenses resulting from the COVID-19 pandemic and providing for a special effective date. Sponsor President Mosby on behalf of the administration.
This bill has been assigned to Ways and Means on to 21-137, Madam Clerk.
City Council Bill 21-0137, Supplementary General Fund Operating Appropriation, Department of Public Works, $1,630,015.63 for the purpose of providing a supplementary general fund operating appropriation in the amount of $1,630,015.63 to Department of Public Works, Service 663, Waste Removal and Recycling, to provide funding for solid waste contractor and collection routing software expenses resulting from the COVID-19 pandemic and providing for a special effective date. Sponsor is President Mosby on behalf of the administration.
This bill has been assigned to Ways and Means on to 21-138, Madam Clerk.
City Council Bill 21-0138, Supplementary General Fund Operating Appropriation, Fire Department, $2,350,000 for the purpose of providing a supplemental general fund operating appropriation in the amount of $2,350,000 to the Fire Department, Service 602, Fire Suppression and Emergency Rescue, to provide funding for the cost of operating 2 fire suppression companies and providing for a special effective date. Sponsor is President Mosby on behalf of the administration.
This bill has been assigned to Ways and Means Committee on to 21-139, Madam Clerk.
City Council Bill 21-0139, Supplementary General Fund Operating Appropriation, Fire Department, $114,009 for the purpose of providing a supplementary general fund operating appropriation in the amount of $114,009 to the Fire Department, Service 608, Emergency Management, to provide funding for first responder quarantine costs resulting from the COVID-19 pandemic and providing for a special effective date. Sponsor is President Mosby on behalf of the administration.
This bill has been assigned to Ways and Means on to 21-140, Madam Clerk.
Council Bill 21-0140, Supplementary General Fund Operating Appropriation, Fire Department, $12,684,471.33 for the purpose of providing a supplementary general fund operating appropriation in the amount of $12,684,471.33 to the Fire Department, Service 609, Emergency Medical Services, to provide funding for emergency medical services, personal protective equipment, and building improvement expenses resulting from the COVID-19 pandemic and providing for a special effective date. Sponsor is President Mosby on behalf of the administration.
This bill has been assigned to Ways and Means Committee on to 21-141, Madam Clerk.
City Council Bill 21-0141, Supplementary General Fund Operating Appropriation, Liquor License Board, $104,264.17 for the purpose of providing a supplementary general fund operating appropriation in the amount of $104,264.17 to the Liquor License Board, Service 850, liquor licensing, to provide funding for telework technology expenses resulting from the COVID-19 pandemic and providing for a special effective date. Sponsor is President Mosby on behalf of the administration.
This bill has been assigned to Ways and Means on to 21-142, Madam Clerk.
City Council Bill 21-0142, Supplementary General Fund Operating Appropriation, Mayoralty, $50,304.90 for the purpose of providing a supplementary general fund operating appropriation in the amount of $50,304.90 to the Mayoralty Service 125, Executive Direction and Control Mayoralty, to provide funding for community outreach by the Mayor's Office of Immigrant Affairs resulting from the COVID-19 pandemic and providing for a special effective date. Sponsor is President Mosby on behalf of the administration.
This bill has been assigned to Ways and Means Committee on to 21-143, Madam Clerk.
City Council Bill 21-0143, Supplementary General Fund Operating Appropriation, Mayoralty Related Civic Promotion, $5 million for the purpose of providing a supplementary general fund operating appropriation in the amount of $5 million to the MR Civic Promotion Service 820, Convention Sales and Tourism Marketing, to provide funding for tourism support and messaging expenses resulted from the COVID-19 pandemic and providing for a special effective date. Sponsor is President Mosby on behalf of the administration.
This bill has been assigned to Ways and Means Committee on to 21-144, Madam Clerk.
Council Bill 21-0144, Supplementary General Fund Operating Appropriation, Mayoralty Related Convention Center Hotel, $2.5 million for the purpose of providing a supplementary general fund operating appropriation in the amount of $2.5 million to the MR Convention Center Hotel Service 5 through 5, Convention Center Hotel, to provide funding for debt service expenses resulted from the COVID-19 pandemic and providing for a special effective date. Sponsor is President Mosby on behalf of the administration.
This bill has been assigned to Ways and Means Committee on to 21-145, right, Madam Clerk?
Yes.
Yep.
City Council Bill 21-0145, Supplementary General Fund Operating Appropriation, Mayoralty Related Convention Complex, $1,499,509.74 for the purpose of providing a supplementary general fund operating appropriation in the amount of $1,499,509.74 to the MR Convention Complex, Service 855, to provide funding for building safety and technology improvement expenses resulting from the COVID-19 pandemic and providing for a special effective date. Sponsor is President Mosby on behalf of the administration.
This bill has been assigned to Ways and Means Committee. On to 21-146, Madam Clerk.
City Council Bill 21-0146, Supplementary General Fund Operating Appropriation, Mayoralty Related Educational Grants, $4 million for the purpose of providing a supplementary general fund operating appropriation in the amount of $4 million to MR Educational Grants Program Service 446 to provide funding for child care provider support resulting from the COVID-19 pandemic and providing for a special effective date. Sponsor is President Mosby on behalf of the administration.
This bill has been assigned to Ways and Means Committee. Madam Clerk, on to 21-147.
City Council Bill 21-0147, Supplementary General Fund Operating Appropriation, Mayoralty Related Miscellaneous General Expenses, $7,002,637.06 for the purpose of providing a supplementary general fund operating appropriation in the amount of $7,002,637.06 to the MR Miscellaneous General Expenses Service 122 Miscellaneous General Expenses to provide funding for technology upgrades, cost tracking, and compliance costs and grants for nonprofit organizations resulting from the COVID-19 pandemic and providing for a special effective date. Sponsor is President Mosby on behalf of the administration.
This bill has been assigned to Ways and Means Committee. On to 21-148, Madam Clerk.
City Council Bill 21-0148, Supplementary General Fund Operating Appropriation, Mayoralty Related Office of Children and Family Success, $7,383,249 for the purpose of providing a supplementary general fund operating appropriation in the amount of $383,249 to the MR Office of Children and Family Success, Service 109, Administration Children and Family Success, to provide funding for the eviction prevention program to pay landlords for delinquent accounts and avoid tenant evictions resulting from the COVID-19 pandemic and providing for a special effective date. Sponsor is President Mosby on behalf of the administration.
This bill has been assigned to Ways and Means Committee. On to 21-150.
49.
I'm sorry, 21-149.
City Council Bill 21-0149, Supplementary General Fund Operating Appropriation, Mayoralty Related Office of Information and Technology, $857,509.37 for the purpose of providing a supplementary general fund operating appropriation in the amount of $857,509.37 to the MR Office of Information and Technology, Service 805, Enterprise IT Delivery Services, to provide funding for telework technology and temperature screening software expenses resulted from the COVID-19 pandemic and providing for a special effective date. Sponsor is President Mosby on behalf of the administration.
This bill has been assigned to Ways and Means Committee. Now on to 21-150.
City Council Bill 21-0150, Supplementary General Fund Operating Appropriation, Mayoralty Related Office of the Inspector General, $400,000 for the purpose of providing a supplementary general fund operating appropriation in the amount of $400,000 to MR Office of the Inspector General, Service 836, Inspector General, to provide funding for unbudgeted positions and providing for a special effective date. Sponsor is President Mosby on behalf of the administration.
This bill has been assigned to the Ways and Means Committee. Now on to 21-151.
City Council Bill 21-0151, Supplementary General Fund Operating Appropriation, Police Department, $6.5 million for the purpose of providing a supplementary general fund operating appropriation in the amount of $6.5 million to the Police Department, Service 622, Police Patrol, to provide funding for premium pay expenses resulting from the COVID-19 pandemic and providing for a special effective date. Sponsor, President Mosby on behalf of the administration.
This bill has been assigned to Ways and Means Committee. Now on to 21-151. 152, I'm sorry.
City Council Bill 21-0152, Supplementary General Fund Operating Appropriation, State's Attorney's Office, $638,963,067 for the purpose of providing a supplementary general fund operating appropriation in the amount of $638,963.67 to the State's Attorney's Office, Service 781, to provide funding for telework technology and virtual courtroom software expenses resulting from the COVID-19 pandemic and providing for a special effective date. Sponsor is President Mosby on behalf of the administration.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. This bill has been assigned to Ways and Means Committee on to 21-153.
City Council Bill 21-0153, Supplementary General Fund Operating Appropriation, Mayoralty Related Employees Retirement Contribution, $35.5 million for the purpose of providing a supplementary general fund operating appropriation in the amount of $35.5 million to the MR Employees Retirement Contribution Service 355 to provide funding for final costs related to the fire and police pension litigation and providing for a special effective date. Sponsors, President Mosby on behalf of the administration.
This bill has been assigned to Ways and Means Committee. Now on to 21-154.
City Council Bill 21-0154, Sale of Property, 1201 North Rosedale Street, for the purpose of authorizing the mayor and city council of Baltimore to sell at either public or private sale all its interest in certain property that is located at 1201 North Rosedale Street, Block 2442D, Lot 16, and is no longer needed for public use, and providing for a special effective date. Sponsor is President Mosby on behalf of the administration.
Now, that bill has been assigned to Ways and Means Committee, and we're going to take a quick 30-second pause. Thanks a million, Madam Clerk, for going through all the supplementary bills. I missed that I should have did it before the 154, but reading all those things back to back isn't the easiest thing, and we appreciate all of your public service. So huge round of applause for knocking them out in world-class order. We're at 526 now. Again, we want to make sure that we are respectful of our colleagues so they can go and participate in their holiday. Madam Clerk, on to 21-155.
City Council Bill 21-0155, Administrative Procedure Act revisions. For the purpose of clarifying that an agency may, subject to certain requirements, incorporate certain documents into a regulation by reference, clarifying certain provisions regarding the notice and comment period, clarifying when a regulation is effective, renumbering certain sections, amending the date that relevant and current regulations must be submitted in digital form to the Director of Legislative Reference for a codification into the Code of Baltimore Regulations Annotated, revising uncodified text to allow for initial adoption of certain existing regulations and the later revision of those regulations to meet style and formatting requirements, and providing for a special effective date. Sponsor is Councilmember Dorsey.
This bill has been assigned to Public Safety and Government Operations. On to 21-156.
City Council Bill 21-0156, Zoning Conditional Use Parking Lot, 1207 and 1209 East 43rd Street and 1204 Springfield Avenue. For the purpose of permitting, subject to certain conditions, the establishment, maintenance, and operation of an open off-street parking area on the properties known as 1207 and 1209 East 43rd Street, Block 5208, Lots 4 and 5, and 1204 Springfield Avenue, Block 5208, Lot 12, as outlined in green on the accompanying plat, and providing for a special effective date. Sponsor is President Mosby.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. This bill has been assigned to Economic and Community Development. Madam Clerk, before we move on to 157, want to jump back to 155, give the gentleman in the 3rd District. Do you want to just point out the reason why we're here and some quick revisions as to why this is important for us to move forward with this bill?
Yes, sir, Mr. President. Thank you. This bill it makes some rather minor modifications to the Administrative Procedure Act that was passed at the end of the last term. These are necessary for practical purposes in order for us to implement the Administrative Procedure Act, given the volume of rules and regulations that various agencies have in order to have that need to be codified into our newly established code of regulations. And this is going to aid the law department and the Department of Legislative Reference in being able to do that effectively. And the swift passage of this will allow us to stay in a timeline that keeps us in compliance with the law. Thank you, Mr. President.
What's the timeline we're going to extend it to for agencies and departments?
To January 15th, but the current deadline is November 16th.
Do you think that's enough time, January?
Yes, because specifically what this bill does is allows them to, instead of having to rewrite all of their rules and regulations in the COBRA format before handing them over to be included in the COBRA, it allows them to hand over everything that they've got in the format that they have it in presently, and for it to be adopted as is and to then be codified after the fact in order to come into conforming standards.
Thank you for that clarification. Madam Clerk, on to 21-157.
City Council Bill 21-0157, limiting the range of city-owned take-home vehicles for the purpose of solely allowing a user of a city-owned take-home vehicle to drive the vehicle within the confines of Baltimore City and authorizing city agencies to adopt implementing rules and regulations. Sponsor, Councilmember Dorsey.
Councilmember Dorsey, gentleman from the 3rd District, the floor is yours.
Thank you again, Mr. President. As I said at the luncheon today, Baltimore City's got about 13,000 full-time employees. A review I did a couple of years ago of them showed that roughly 50% of the city's employees are not city residents, and that those employees are, on the whole, being paid by the city of Baltimore 50% more than the ones who live here. If you ask me, this does not correlate with the principle of wanting people to continue to live in Baltimore City and to move into Baltimore City. And so at a time when we continue to see our population decline, it's, to me, imperative that we not be subsidizing people who work for the city of Baltimore living somewhere other than the city of Baltimore. The fact is that many of the people who we are using taxpayer dollars to provide take-home vehicles to have a greater value in that vehicle than what we are even providing as a property tax credit. There are many employees here in the city of Baltimore that we provide property tax credit opportunities to the tune of $2,500 a year if they live in the city of Baltimore. But many of the people that we provide take-home vehicles to, especially the ones who live in places like Pennsylvania, Harford County, Caroline County, Carroll County, the value of that vehicle to them is greater than any tax incentive that we could give them to live here in Baltimore City. It is not in our public interest to be subsidizing people living outside of Baltimore City. And the fact that we are doing it to the extent that we are, it to me is, a no-brainer as to why these folks are choosing to not live here in Baltimore City. To say nothing of the climate implications of us paying for them to drive cars to burn fossil fuels, to drive, in some cases, 50 and 60 miles to and from work each day. There are a lot of reasons why I think that this is a good bill, and I hope that some of my colleagues will sign on to co-sponsor this bill here now. Thank you, Mr. President.
No, thank you, Councilman Dorsey. This bill has been assigned to Public Safety and Government Operations. On to 21-158, Madam Clerk.
City Council Bill 21-0158, landmark list, Truck House Number 5, Oliver Community Firehouse, for the purpose of designating the Truck House Number 5, Oliver Community Firehouse at 1220 East Oliver Street as a historical landmark exterior. Sponsors are Councilmembers Stokes and Porter.
Chairman Stokes, would you like to speak on behalf of this bill?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. President. This firehouse has been closed since, I guess, the early 80s. It's a great opportunity for some history to be right there in Oliver to talk about the historical firefighters here in Baltimore. If you go around the corner, you have the oldest Black Catholic church in the country, which is St. Francis. You have a pool across the street. I was very fortunate to get um, rehabbed, and the kids can. So we have a church there. We have a pool there. We have Dr. Bernard Harris there. We have two senior buildings there. So when the kids leave the pool, when the seniors leave the senior buildings, you can go over there and learn the history of the African American firefighters here in Baltimore, throughout the country. And I want to thank George Collins, who's been working on this, I know, for the last 5 years. And it definitely has my support in the Oliver Community Association. Thank you, Mr. President.
No, thank you, Mr. Chair. This bill has been assigned to Education, Workforce, and Youth Committee. We will now move to resolutions to be introduced for first reading. Madam Clerk, if you could read in 21-63R.
City Council Resolution 21-0063R, informational hearing and evaluation of the Deferred Retirement Option Program as a retention strategy for fire and police personnel. For the purpose of requesting the Executive Director of the Baltimore City Fire and Police Employees Retirement System, the Board of Trustees for the Baltimore City Fire and Police Employees Retirement System, the Director of the Department of Finance, representatives from the Baltimore Police Department, and representatives from the Baltimore City Fire Department come before the City Council to discuss the Deferred Retirement Option Plan, DROP, analyze current and former participation in the program, brief the Council on policy differences between the original DROP program and DROP 2, and share what modifications the City can make to the policy that will allow us to use it as an incentive to retain veteran fire and police personnel. Sponsors are Councilmember Schleifer.
Chairman Schleifer, would you like to speak on behalf of Resolution 21-63R?
Sure. Thank you, Mr. President.
Floor is yours.
The Baltimore Police Department has more of a retention problem than they do of a recruitment problem. For the last 6 years, there have been frequent conversations around police recruitment and the need to rebuild the ranks of the department. But little effort has been focused on developing a comprehensive retention strategy to keep officers on the force. Since 2015, the police department has lost approximately 1,280 officers, while only hiring 1,150 to fill those vacant positions. Those losses have been reported as 650 retirements and another 630 resignations. The Baltimore Police Department has stated on average they are losing 19 sworn members per month, a number that makes it virtually impossible to keep up with adequate staffing. In 1996, when the city was faced with a similar problem, the Deferred Retirement Option Plan, or DROP, program was created to incentivize veteran personnel to defer their retirement for a minimum of 3 years while participating in this program. When it was created, it allowed retirement-eligible fire and police employees to continue working while banking the equivalent of their pensions for 3 years in an account earning 8.25% interest. Throughout the years, the program and member participation has declined due to the current interest rate offerings. In 2020, the city saw the first wave of firefighters and police officers who were affected by the 25-year pension change begin to exit their ranks. If we want to slow down the impeding mass exodus of public safety personnel, we must provide an incentive for those individuals hired between 1998 and 2006, and the original DROP program was shown to be a proven retention strategy that works. I appreciate my colleagues' support and look forward to a thoughtful dialogue on this topic.
Thank you, Chairman Schleifer. I see the hand of Chairwoman McCray. Would you like to sign on, Chairwoman? Oh, please put Chairwoman McCray down as a co-sponsor. Any additional co-sponsors? Hearing and seeing, I just saw Councilman Glover, Councilman Cohen. So we have Glover, Cohen, Vice President Middleton, and Chairwoman McCray. This resolution has been assigned to Public Safety and Government Operations. You can find the consent calendar in Section A at the back of the agenda. Is there a motion to approve the consent calendar?
So moved. Conway.
It's been moved. Do I hear a second?
Second, Middleton.
It's been moved and properly seconded. All those in favor of approving the consent calendar, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say nay. The ayes have it. The motion carries and the calendar is now approved. We will now move on to bills on second reader. At this time, I would like to recognize Chairman Costello.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that we read short titles for second and third reader for the duration of the meeting.
There's a motion on the floor for us to read short titles for second and third reader. Hearing no objections, we will proceed. Hearing and seeing none, we will be on short titles for the remainder of the meeting. The first committee report, we're going to go into economic and community development. Madam Clerk, if you could read in for second reader, Council Bill 21-54.
Council Bill 21-0054, rezoning 605 South Caton Avenue.
At this time, I would like to recognize the Vice President of the Baltimore City Council, Sharon Green Middleton. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. President. Bill number 21-0054, rezoning 605 South Caton Avenue. Sponsor, Councilwoman Porter of the 10th District. The committee heard this bill on September 14th, 2021. Findings of fact were sent to all council members. I move findings of facts.
Second, Conway.
It's been moved and properly seconded. If there's an issue with proceeding with the finding of the facts, we will proceed. Hearing and seeing none, we'll proceed with the finding of the facts, Madam Vice President.
The committee voted to amend the bill to rezone the property to the industrial 1I1 zoning district. I move the amendment.
Is there a second?
Second, Conway.
All those in favor of adopting the committee amendments, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say nay. The ayes have it. The committee amendments are now adopted. Back to you, Madam Vice President.
And I move the bill favorable as amended.
Second.
It's been moved and properly seconded to move the bill favorable as amended. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 All those opposed, please say nay. The ayes have it. The bill will move on as amended to third reader. Madam Clerk, if you could please read in 21-56.
Council Bill 21-0056, urban renewal, Canton Industrial Area Amendment.
Madam Vice President, I yield the floor to you.
Thank you, Mr. President. 21-0056, sponsor Cohen of the 1st District. This bill will be double read at today's meeting, by the way. The committee heard this bill on September 14th, 2021. I move the findings of the facts.
Finding those facts have been moved. Is there any objection to moving on with the finding of the facts? Hearing and seeing none, back to you, Madam Vice President.
The committee approved technical amendments for this bill. I move the amendments.
Second.
It's been moved and properly seconded to adopt the amendments from the committee. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say nay. The ayes have it. The committee amendments are adopted.
I move the bill favorable as amended.
Second.
It's been moved and properly seconded to move the bill as amended. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 And all opposed, please say nay. The ayes have it. This bill is, we'll move on to second reader. Madam Clerk, actually, we're going to double read this. So it's been properly moved in second. Madam Clerk, if you could please call the roll.
President Mosby, Councilmember Cohen,
Yes.
McCray,
Yes.
Dorsey,
Hold on, I'm
Conway.
sorry, Madam Clerk. I'm hearing that we didn't properly call a second for reading it in. So Madam Clerk, we have to, Madam Vice President, we have to go back to you to invoke City Council Rule 12-1 for same-day advancement. And then we're,
Like
we're
to,
gonna call roll on that.
okay. We usually do that third reader, but I'll go ahead and invoke the rules to call for a vote for third reader.
Yep, for 12,
Tw-
Council Rule 12-1, Madam Vice President.
I move to invoke the rules 12-1 to move
Got
to
you.
third.
So it's been a motion on the floor to invoke Council Rule 12-1 to advance same day from second to third reader. Is there a second?
Second.
The second have been properly moved and seconded. The clerk, if you could please call the roll now.
President Mosby. Councilmember Cullen.
Aye.
Gray.
Yes.
Dorsey.
Yes.
Conway.
Yes.
Schleifer.
Yes.
Middleton.
Yes.
Torrance. Burnett.
Yes.
Bullock.
Aye.
Porter.
Aye.
Costello.
Aye.
Stokes.
Yes.
Glover.
Yes.
Ramos.
Yes. Yes.
Yes, the ayes have it. The bill moves to third reader today. Next up, Madam Clerk, we're going to Council Bill 21-76.
Council Bill 21-0076, zoning conditional use conversion of a single-family dwelling unit to 2 dwelling units in the R8 zoning district, variance 1049 Brantley Avenue.
At this point, I would like to recognize Madam Vice President. You have the floor.
Thank you. 21-0076 was sponsored by Councilman Bullock of the 9th District. The committee heard this bill also on September 14th, 2021. I move finding of facts.
Facts are moved unless we have some objection. Hearing and seeing none, Madam Vice President, the floor is yours.
The committee approved the amendments for variance for off-street parking and lot areas for this property. I move the amendments.
It's been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
The committee amendments have been moved and properly seconded. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say nay. The ayes have it. The committee amendments are now adopted. Madam Vice President, the floor is yours.
And I move this bill favorable as amended.
It's been moved. Do I hear a second?
Second.
It's been moved and properly seconded. All those in favor of approving this bill as amended, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say nay. The ayes have it. This bill is approved and amended. Will be printed now for third and read in for third reading. Madam Clerk, could we move on to Council Bill 21-97?
Council Bill 21-0097, Emergency Security Deposit Relief Act.
Madam Vice President, the floor is yours.
21-0097 will also be double read at today's meeting. And before we move on, I just have some comments that I want to make so the total council is aware of what transpired through the committee. So the bill was introduced on June 8th, 2021. This bill will help meet critical demands for security deposit assistance in Baltimore City by providing eligible applicants with a security deposit grant to help them obtain housing. This bill, like Bill number 21-022, Security Deposit Alternatives, it's also a forward-thinking bill. It addresses the need, it solves a problem, it helps residents, and it helps our city. Members of the Economic and Community Development Committee heard bill on June 29th, 2021. A working session was then held on September 14th, 2021. I first of all want to thank all of those that worked on this bill, the Office of the President, the Law Department, the Mayor's Office of Children and Family Success, the Department of Housing and Community Development, and the Department of Finance, as well as the Department of Legislative Reference, and of course, this council that has been paying attention to this bill, all of you for working together with me to draft amendments to the bill. Amendments approved by the committee would, number one, request that the new program be under the Mayor's Office of Children and Family Success. It will also change the term voucher to grant. It will also provide grants to landlords on behalf of tenants. It will also set the adjusted median income requirement to allow for flexibility in use of various funding sources. And the bill would also take care of other technical amendments. With that being said, I move the amendments.
There's a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and properly seconded. All those in favor of moving the committee amendments, please say aye.
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 All those opposed, please say nay. The ayes have it. The committee amendments are now adopted. Madam Vice President, the floor is yours.
And I move this bill as favorable as amended.
There's a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and properly seconded. All those in favor of moving this bill forward as amended, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say nay.
Abstain. Abstain.
There was one abstention. Please note for the record that Councilman Burnett would like to abstain. So I believe one abstention. Is that correct? Correct. This bill is now approved as amended. At this point, I'm going to turn it back over to you, Madam Vice President, to invoke Council Rule 12-1.
And I'd like to move to invoke Rule 12-1 so the bill can be double read this evening.
There's a motion on the floor to invoke 12-1 for same-day advancement from second to third reader. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and properly seconded. All those in favor of invoking 12-1, please say aye.
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 All those opposed, please say nay. The ayes have it. At this point, Madam Clerk, if you could do a roll call. We have to do a roll call for this.
President Mosby,
Aye.
Councilmember Cohen,
Yes.
McCray,
Yes.
Dorsey,
Yes.
Conway,
Aye.
Schleifer,
Yes.
Middleton,
Yes.
Torrance,
Yes.
Burnett.
Greatly appreciate.
Abstain.
Oh, abstain, sorry. Bullock,
Aye.
Porter. Costello,
Aye.
Stokes,
You skipped Costello,
Costello, okay. Stokes,
or I'm an aye. Costello.
thank you. Stokes,
Yes.
Glover,
Yes.
Ramos.
Yes.
Thank you. The ayes have it. The bill now moves on to third reader today. Next up, we're going to go to Health, Environment, and Technology. Madam Clerk, if you could read in 21-103.
Council Bill 21-0103, Suicide Prevention Coordinator Establishment.
At this time, I would like to recognize Madam Chair McCray. Floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. President. The Health, Environment, and Technology Committee held a hearing on the bill on September 15th. Committee amendments were distributed to my colleagues before this meeting. I move the amendments.
Second.
It's been moved and properly seconded. All those in favor of adopting the committee amendments, please say aye.
Aye. Aye.
All those opposed, please say nay. The ayes have it. The committee amendments are adopted. Back to you, Madam Chair McCray.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move the bill favorably as amended.
Second.
It's been moved and properly seconded. All those in favor of moving the bill as amended, please say aye.
Aye. Aye.
All those opposed, please say nay. The ayes have it. This bill is amended and will be printed for third reading. Now on, Madam Clerk, to Council Bill 21-104.
Council Bill 21-0104, Baltimore City Work Group on Women in Public Safety.
At this point, I'd like to recognize the chair of the committee, Chairwoman McCray. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. President. The Health, Environment, and Technology Committee held a hearing on the bill on September 15th. A committee amendment and a floor amendment to the committee amendment were distributed to my colleagues before this meeting. I move the amendment to the committee amendment.
So right now, just to make sure everybody's clear, we have to amend the committee amendments. Then we're going to have to adopt those amendments, and then we're going to have to vote out the bill. We're all clear? So right now, there's a motion to amend the committee amendments. Is there a second?
Second that motion.
It's been moved and properly seconded to amend the committee amendments. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say nay. The ayes have it. The amendment to the committee amendments is now approved. Madam Chair, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move the committee amendment as amended.
So there's a motion on the floor to move the committee amendments as amendment. I heard a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 All those
Aye.
opposed, please say nay. The ayes have it. Madam Chair, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have an additional floor amendment that was requested by the Department of Human Resources to add the director or their designee to the work group. This amendment was also distributed to my colleagues before this meeting. I move the amendment.
We take this as a friendly amendment. There's a motion on the floor to accept the administration's amendment. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and properly seconded. All those in favor of adopting this new amendment from the administration, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say nay. The ayes have it. This amendment is adopted. Back to you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move the bill favorably as amended.
Is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second on the floor to move the bill favorably as amended. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say nay. The ayes have it. This bill is, we'll move on as amended and printed for third reading. We'll turn now to bills on third reading for passage that require invocation of City Council Rule 12-1, the same day advancement. The clerk will read the bills and then call the roll. So Madam Clerk, if you could go on to 21-56.
21-0056, Urban Renewal Canton Industrial Area Amendment. President Mosby. Councilmember Cohen.
Yes.
Cray.
Yes.
Dorsey.
Yes.
Conway.
Aye.
Schleifer.
Yes.
Middleton.
Yes.
Torrance. Burnett.
Yes.
Bullock.
Aye.
Porter.
Aye.
Costello.
Aye.
Stokes.
Yes.
Glover.
Yes.
Ramos.
Yes.
This bill is approved. Before we read in 21-97, Madam Clerk, I would just like to take my hat off to Madam Vice President for your dogmatic spirit and passion of going after and tackling this issue. One of the key things in coming into this, when we all were inaugurated, we talked about the importance of going after substantive legislation that directly meets the needs of our constituents. I see this as something, we know that this particular bill and this action have taken different courses throughout this term to get us where we are today. But I appreciate your leadership in staying with it and working with the administration, working with the advocates, and most importantly, working with the council to get us here to this day. So thank you so much, Madam Vice President, for all of your work and for the thousands of Baltimoreans, the tens of thousands of Baltimoreans that will be able to benefit from this. Madam Clerk, if you could read in 21-97 for passage.
21-0097, Emergency Security Deposit Relief Act. President Mosby. Councilmember Cohen. McCray. Dorsey. Conway. Schleifer. Middleton. Torrance. Burnett.
Same.
Bullock. Porter.
Aye.
Costello. Stokes.
Aye.
Glover.
Aye.
Ramos.
Aye.
For the record, if we could please note that we have one abstention, the rest ayes. The abstention is from Councilman Burnett. This bill is approved. We turn now to bills on third reading for final passage. The clerk, please read the bill and call the roll.
21-0030, Coordinated Multi-Agency Code Inspection. President Mosby. Councilmember Cohen. McCray. Dorsey. Conway. Schleifer. Middleton. Torrance. Burnett. Bullock. Porter. Costello. Stokes. Glover. Ramos.
This bill is approved. Now we're going to turn to committee announcements. Chairs, when you hear your committee, please proceed with your announcements. First up, we're going to hear from Madam Vice President of on Economic and Community Development. Madam Vice President, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have one announcement for the Economic and Community Development Committee. Bill number 21-0089 will be heard tomorrow, September 21st, 2021 at 2:10 here on WebEx virtually. And it's the Barksdale Square for the purpose of naming the city property located at Ward 6, Section 9, Block 1318, Lot 2, also known as 199 North Caroline Street, to be named Dante Barksdale Square. And just remember that this was sponsored by President Mosby and introduced on May 17th, 2021. Thank you, Mr. President.
No, thank you, Madam Vice President. Next up, we're going to go to Education, Workforce, and Youth. Chairman Stokes, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. President. The Education, Workforce, and Youth Committee will hold a hearing on Thursday, October the 14th, 2021, beginning at 10 a.m. for Council Resolution 21-005R, information hearing museum workers' right to organize, for the purpose of inviting the City Solicitor, Director of Department of Human Resources, representatives from the Walters Art Museum, and ASME Council 67 to discuss the feasibility of unionization of museum workers at the request of Council Member Torrance from the 7th District. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Next up, we're going to Health, Environment, and Technology. Chairwoman McCray, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. President. No announcements at this time.
Thank you, Chairwoman. Next up, we're going to Public Safety and Government Operations.
Thank you, Mr. President. I've got two announcements. So the Public Safety and Government Operations Committee will meet on Wednesday, October 13th, 2021 to hear Bill 21-0094, Public Safety Apprenticeship Program Establishment. And this is sponsored by Councilmember Chris Burnett. It will be heard at 1 p.m. virtually. And permission to suspend Rule 10-2 and 10-3 to announce a hearing.
There's a motion on the floor to waive 10-2 and 10-3 without any objections for the suspending of the rules. We will proceed. Hearing and seeing no objections, we can proceed. Mr. Chair, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. President. So the Public Safety and Government Operations Committee will meet on Wednesday, September 29th, 2021 at 1:05 p.m. virtually to hear Bill number 21-0155, Administrative Procedure Act revisions, the one just described here earlier today by sponsor Councilmember Ryan Dorsey. That is all we have for the day. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Next up, we're going to Rules and Legislative Oversight. Chairman Schleifer, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. President. We have no announcements tonight.
Thank you, Chairman Schleifer. And last but certainly not least, we're going to Ways and Means. Chairman Costello, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. President. Ways and Means Committee will hold a hearing on Tuesday, September 28th at 11 a.m. Council Bill 21-0099, Study and Report, Tax Sale Accounting, at the request of Councilwoman Ramos. Also hold a hearing on Tuesday, September 28th at 11:01 a.m. on Council Bill 21-0058, Real Property Tax Installment Plans, at the request of Councilwoman Ramos. That same day, the the Ways and Means Committee will hold a hearing on 21-0041, Board of Estimates, Basic Organization and Procurement Thresholds, at the request of the Office of the Comptroller, Bill Henry. This hearing was originally scheduled for 10:01 a.m. That start time will be moved up to 10:46 a.m. And finally, on that same day, Ways and Means Committee will hold a hearing on 21-0118, Area of Special Sign Control, Designation North Harbor, at the request of Councilman Costello. That hearing will be called to order at 10:45 a.m. Will be recessed immediately after, and then the Ways and Means Committee will reconvene on Tuesday, October 12th at 10 a.m. for a work session / voting session. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. At this point, we're going to move into regular announcements. Are there any regular announcements?
Yes, Mr. President.
Madam Vice President, the floor is yours.
I just have two moment of silences to recognize quickly, and one, it's more of a historical perspective for our basically for our new most of our council members are fairly new. So I'm requesting a moment of silence for Mr. Ronald L. Schultz. Ronald L. Schultz, who was the former director of the Office of Council Services, formerly known as Councilmatic Services, passed away on August 31st, 2021. He held several financial related positions with Baltimore City from 1974 to 2002. I want to take a moment to acknowledge the work that he did for the council. Many of you and many legislative bodies around the country use the legislative tracking system called Legistar, now owned by a company called Granicus. I might be pronouncing that wrong.
That's correct.
Okay. Major components of that legislative tracking system was born right here in Baltimore out of what was then called the Daystar system. Ronald Schultz partnered with the Daystar Company to review how Baltimore processed and tracked legislation, and to work with staff in the Office of Council Services to build what we now know as the Legistar system. The City Council was one of the first contributors and users of Legistar. Ron also put in place many other administrative systems that are still used today to process legislation in Baltimore City. And it's my understanding that Montgomery County is also one of the counties that uses this system from Mr. Schultz. We are thankful for the work that he did, and let's take a moment of silence for him and the service he has done to Baltimore. And I also want to add the name of Timothy Queen Jr., that basically is a relative of mine, and over the weekend, was a victim of our opioid epidemic, and, was found by his father. So all of us are, none of us are immune to the problems that we have with opioid epidemic. It is a disease, and I'd like to include his name for a moment of silence. This tragedy happened over the weekend, and they are going to do a visual for him this evening at 8 o'clock. He has been him and his family have been a long-serving resident on Norfolk Avenue in the 6th District.
Well, we're so sorry for your loss, Madam Vice President.
Thank you.
I think you do bring it to light. We constantly talk about the violence in our city. Lately, we've been talking about COVID-19, but understanding though that deaths resulting from opioids significantly outpace all of those deaths even combined. And unfortunately, coming out of this pandemic, we're seeing many of our young folks succumb to it. We see some of the deaths being younger and younger. So thank you for providing that personal story. with us and reminding us the importance of the vigilant fight we should be after associated with opioid use. I see that. I'm sorry, Madam Vice President, the floor is still
Go
yours.
ahead. I'm finished. I was gonna, if no one else is speaking, I was gonna take that next move.
All right, I think we have the hand of Chairman Conway, then we're gonna go to you, Councilwoman Ramos.
Thank you, Mr. President. I've got three moments of silence that I'd like to ask for. The first of which is for former Councilman Ken Harris. Today is the 13th anniversary of his murder. He was one of the first council persons for the fourth district when it became a single member district from 2004 to 2007, and he was one of the former multi-member council members from the third district back in the day, from 1999 to 2004. He is still beloved today in the district, and in my campaigning, I heard a lot of his name. He's still remembered and loved, and we're still dedicating a lot to him. And I just want to keep him in our memories today on his 13th anniversary of his death. The other folks, this weekend on Saturday, Wilson Park neighborhood lost a fearless and outspoken member, Sharon Evans. I got to know and respect her in my time being in the area. She was very outspoken and really fought for her neighborhood. Unfortunately, she passed on Saturday. And finally, Linda Witherspoon. She passed last Wednesday. And she's a mother of three and really dedicated her life to her neighborhood, her church, and her family. She was a small business owner and delivered papers, made sure that papers were delivered on behalf of the Baltimore Sun for many years, and her family really does care for us. So just want to make sure that we acknowledge those folks. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman Conway. Now on to Councilwoman Ramos. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. President and colleagues. I just wanted to remind everybody we've got 10 days to go until the deadline for the homeowner's property tax credit. We've been reaching out to many of my constituents, had an issue with someone who was not able to apply last year because all of the centers were closed, and I can give you lots more examples. Happy to help all of you in any way, but also wanted to remind the public that we could, if there are questions or you need assistance with the application, there is the SOAR program. The hotline there is 443-961-6220. And we've got 10 days. We want to get that application in. And the SOAR program has been really helping a lot of people. So thank you, Mr. President, and thank you, colleagues, for lifting this very important issue up and helping constituents with this tax credit. Thank you.
No, thank you for all your leadership, Councilwoman Ramos. Are there any additional announcements?
President Costello.
Costello, I hear you. I can't see you.
I apologize, internet connectivity issues. Madam Vice President, I apologize in advance because I was just informed in the last 5 minutes of his passing, but I'd like to ask for a moment of silence for David Tanner, a longtime executive director of the Board of Municipal and Zoning Appeals with Baltimore City, career public servant, wonderful guy, knew more about that issue than anyone I've ever met. So just want to ask for a moment of silence for David Tanner. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. Any additional announcements? I see the hand of Councilman Glover. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just want to give a moment of silence for my uncle, Arthur Glover, who just passed away recently. His funeral was Saturday. Also for Ashley Hammond, who lost her son. He was 15 months and he passed away in the care of his daycare provider. And also for Father Michaels over here in the Middle East part of the neighborhood, who suddenly just passed away. So I just ask also for a moment of silence for them as well. Thank you.
And the baby's name is Austin, right? Austin Hammond?
Austin Hammond, yes.
We can include baby Austin Hammond in that. Are there any additional announcements? Hearing and seeing none, Madam Vice President, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. President. The next meeting of the City Council will be held on Monday, October 4th, 2021, virtually at 5 p.m. And may we have a moment of silence for Mr. Ron Schultz, Timothy Queen Jr., Ken Harris, Sharon Evans, Linda Witherspoon, Arthur Glover, Father Michaels, David Tanner, and I think there was someone, Hammond, Mr. Hammond,
Baby, Austin Hammond.
baby Austin Hammond. And the now 246 victims of homicide to date. Also, the now 1,170 COVID deaths throughout the pandemic, and also our continued opioid epidemic.
Thank you. There being no new business before the desk, this concludes the 18th meeting of the 73rd term of your Baltimore City Council. Baltimore, we love you.